we welcome back our man James Ham, our 1320 Kings insider and host of the Insiders with Kyle Matson, Monday through Friday here, 10 to 12. Hammer, we've been going over the Western Conference all day, obviously with this trade and what Phoenix has done, what Portland is doing. And we were talking about ifs, right? The Pelicans being a big if Zion Williamson is healthy, if he works with Brandon Ingram. And we went over the ifs with the Lakers and Anthony Davis, and if Golden State and things click with them, and if. And it dawned on me as we were discussing this, I think the team with the least amount of ifs is the Sacramento Kings.
I agree 100%. This is the team that, of course, they call it running it back, but I think they made improvements, and they don't have any question marks. The depth is spectacular. I think it's the best depth in the Western Conference as of right now. It's quality depth. You have different styles of players. You've got extra shooting hiding everywhere. You've got some shot blockers now that you didn't have the year before. You got a couple of better defensive players. So, yeah, I think this is the team, but that's what happens when you don't make major changes after a successful season. You probably shouldn't have a bunch of question marks, and if you do, then you probably should have addressed a bunch of other things during the offseason. I think the biggest question for the Kings this season is just how good can Keegan Murray be this year, and how big of a leap can he take? Outside of that, I think we understand who this team is and what they're about and where they can go.
Do you think is there a scenario where we're talking about Sasha in the starting lineup this year?
I don't think so.
Because we were talking about things to like a lot of our storylines have been a lot of our training camp storylines have been eliminated because there's no battle in the bigs anymore. Like it's just doesn't exist. Like we know who the bigs are. We pretty much know who the main rotation guys are moving forward. And the only thing that can shake up the rotation a little bit is if Sasha is extraordinary.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a possibility that a guy comes in and it's just way better, right? Like than you expected, then the tape showed that he just fits perfectly. But at the same time, like let's not discredit who and what Harrison Barnes is to this team, because that would be the position that you would assume he would start for. Like I think there's a potential for him to start if there's injury problems, but outside of that, I think you're pretty set. I think you know who the starting five is for this team, and you know who the rotation is going to be, who the second five are, and then after that, like, is there room for someone to show you something? Yeah, but I think it's just for Sasha, it's more about how many minutes can he earn, how much can he adapt on the defensive end, and can he hold his own on that end? Because that's where you're going to see his minutes fluctuate. If he can't be a competent defender at the NBA level, then he's going to play fewer minutes. If he can hold his own, then I could see him getting above 20 minutes, 24 minutes. I mean, that's kind of where like the team hopes that he can be a solid defender. But that's and that of course is why I say no about being a starter. Like for him to take a starting job, that means that he's beating out either Keegan Murray or Harrison Barnes. And I just don't know that he's that style of player. I don't know if we're gonna have to see. Like it's possible he's way better than we expect. But I still think like the players he's gonna compete with for minutes, that's a tough group. That's they're NBA regulars at this point. Even Keegan, who, what he start 78 games last year, Barnes started 82 plus 7 in the playoffs. That's tough to break through.
Wasn't he sick the first two? Was Keegan sick
Uh,
the first two? This sounds crazy. Didn't he have like COVID or something?
he had something right off the bat.
I feel like Keegan missed the first game or two because of something like weird.
Or it was like a rib issue, or it was something strange. Like I'm trying to remember what it was, but yeah, I mean, it's just so long ago at this point. It took him 2 games. Well, he started game, 3, right? And then he pretty much started the rest of the season. I think he missed one other game with a hand issue. Yeah.
Kyle just sent us this. It's not funny. I don't know why I'm laughing. I'm sorry. It's not funny. Dame Lillard just released a song. The
Yeah.
song's called Farewell. So that's available on streaming. Maybe I'll play that over on 102.5 today. Let my two little worlds cross and play Dame Lillard's new joint Farewell.
Oh,
I
I
knew
did
when.
listen. I did listen. At least I got a preview of it.
Uh-huh. And would you how would you rate it, James Ham?
I don't know.
Bump it or
I
dump?
think I think he said something like they sell you short like Muggsy. Like I was like, "Oh, I don't know." Like it's not my jam. It's not my jam.
That's that's all right, Hammer. That's all right. Is there I realize this is I feel like we're in a very unique place, and I won't speak for the broadcast journalist, that is the esteemed James Ham. I'll speak from like a fan perspective. We're in a position that we haven't been in for a very long time, where year after year after year, our eyes are glued to training camp and who's winning this position battle and how does the lottery pick look and who can make an immediate impact and how does A, B, C, D, and F happen. And I don't think that's the case this year. I don't think anyone is. I feel like everyone's like, man, can we get to that game in Utah? Like hell, the game in Vancouver will be cool, but we really just want to get to that game in Utah, and we want to get this thing going. I don't know what there is. Like I joked you'll be at camp, Tuesday, the first practice. James Ham, ESPN 1320. What the hell is the first question?
I don't know.
Right,
I
because I
think
mean, it's generally about a rookie or about this or about that. It's like what? Obviously, without being at practice, seeing what's out there, like what's the first question? I don't know what the biggest storyline is.
yeah, I think that might even be the biggest question. Like to Mike Brown. Like what is the storyline? What is your team's storyline? Like how do you guys internally see it? Is it, how good is Keegan Murray? Is it uh, where does Sasha fit in? Is it what does Chris Duarte look like? What is their theme for the season? And I think that that's something we kind of have to let them tell their own story early on. And I always joke around. You get to day 3, and that's a day that one or two guys miss practice. That there are like so many ice bags to go around. Everyone's feeling it. You've done 2 a day. You're hurting. Because typically what they do is they'll do a morning practice thing, and then they'll do a night practice. Even after media days, sometimes they'll go stretch their legs and start doing some run through stuff in the evening. But I do think that this is one of those seasons where like we don't know what the narrative is, what the feel of this team is going to be until they walk out there and they prove and they show that they are who we saw last season. And that might be the question. Can they be that team? Can they be that team or better? Maintain and improve.
Mm.
Can they live up to that moniker? And that's pretty big.
Your biggest storyline, I think you just said this, is Keegan. Is that right? Or the
Yeah,
big?
I think yeah, I think it is. And it's not just like what did Keegan do? Like
Mhm.
what did he had gained 8 pounds, right? Early in the year.
Oh, did he? Oh, good. I thought we made it a whole off season without somebody gaining weight.
No, no, we saw that back at the
Summer league.
California Classic,
Yeah,
Summer
you're
League,
right. I forgot.
right? And
Yep.
then I think that the thing is you always want to see like what do they look like? How much have they worked on their body? Because you can totally, I mean, what Trey Lyles did last season when he came in, everyone in the building was like, are we looking at Trey Lyles? This is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, he had not just lost like I think it was 20 pounds, but he had really changed his body style. And that's good. And that's what you hope that a couple of your players do each and every offseason, that they take it serious, that they hit the weight room hard. And some guys it's like impossible. Like you're not going to see Davion Mitchell is going to look exactly the same because he's always worked like tirelessly in the gym and in the weight room, and he is who he is. Like he's built like a Mack truck, and you don't think that he's going to like have a big change in his body. But some of these guys, they have the ability to really like improve what they do and how they attack their off season. But again, to get back to it, I really do believe that like Keegan, it's not just how much weight did he gain or like what does he look like. It really does come down to what are they willing to give him? Who are his teammates willing to allow him to become? And I think that's a big question because in order for him to be, to take a huge leap, let's say he goes up to like 18 points a game. So add 6 points per game. That means that other people on that roster are going to be willing to give up 6 points or part of a 6 point window because it's not like you're just going to score 6 more points. So that's what you're always looking for. Like, where is the give and take? Do his teammates buy in and say, okay, we're going to let him ascend? And if they do, then I think he's going to take a gigantic leap this season. But he can't do it on his own, and he's not a guy who handles the ball. He needs somebody pushing him to become that player, and that's okay. He's a young player, and you hope that you see the giant leap in year two.
I'm hyped for Davion. I feel like he had not that I don't think Davion has a bad offseason. I think we were all really looking forward to what a partnership with Davion and Mike Brown would look like. And it felt like choppy at best at times through the season. Davion took full responsibility for that in the offseason. He said, there's a lot I need to do better. Particularly, I need to be able to make baskets. I need to be able to hit my shot. It's going to make life really difficult for Mike if I'm hitting my shot in terms of taking me out of the game, combined with the other things that I do. And I feel like those two last year everybody's feeling each other out, getting to know each other. This year, I feel like those two are in lockstep, and I'm expecting Davion to have his best year. I actually can't find anything negative to say about anybody. I'm really excited about this season and what these guys have done this offseason and what it'll mean going into year two of this, as it's been coined, Being Team.
Yeah. When it comes to Davion, like I'll keep saying this. I don't need him. Like it would be great if he can hit more of his shots, right? If he can hit a higher percentage of his 3 point shots or his mid range jump shots, whatever it might be. It's fine if he can do that, right? But for me, it was never about that. It was like on the defensive end, he's spectacular. It was that on the offensive end, he just didn't fit in. And anytime you can see a player who doesn't fit in, that's a problem. Like this team flowed, everything moved, everything looked right. And then one guy looked like he wasn't moving with the rest of the group. And I think part of it, again, I keep bringing this up, but part of it was the rotations and how they had him go in the game for a couple of minutes and then come back out and then start the second quarter. All of like the herky jerky stuff. I think that impacts his rhythm, his shooting ability. But that's not even what I've ever been concerned with. It's can he fit in and just look like he's part of the group? And I'm hoping that we see that. And I think we can say the same thing for a guy like Chris Duarte. Can he, not can he walk onto the court and not be a ball stopper? Can he move with the rest of the group? He's played with Sabonis before, so he should know how to do some of this stuff, but that doesn't mean that he's done what the Kings do. And so those are the things that I look for. Again, I think they fixed this weird jump shot that Mitchell was doing, the like high arcing craziness, which I'm not even sure what that was all about. But working with Steph Curry's guy all off season, that's a big deal for Davion. But if he hits 37% of his threes, that would be spectacular. And he could get a few more minutes, but I still don't think that that's the reason why he's on and off the court.
James, I can't. I went through the Western Conference and we started this conversation talking about ifs, and how I think the Sacramento Kings have the least amount of ifs. I can't figure out how to not put Sacramento at 2 or 3, and I realized working through that discussion, I don't know who I'd put ahead of them if I put them at 3.
Hmm.
I mean, there's like again, I understand these big ifs that are out there with the 2 Los Angeles teams and the Pelicans, and I mean, I think Oklahoma City's going to take a step up. I don't think it's going to be that big of a step, but I keep settling in on the Kings like right behind Denver. I don't think Memphis is going to stay at 2. I think they, regardless of the 25-game suspension for John Morant, I think the Dylan Brooks loss is going to hurt. The Brandon Clark loss is going to hurt. I don't know where Steven Adams is at. That's where Marcus went, right? Did Marcus land in?
Yeah, Marcus Smart's there.
I guess that's the one, plus thing that I like for them. But I don't know that I have him at 2.
I don't have him at 2, not at all. I mean, for me, I think Desmond Bain can really, really excel and become a outstanding player, but he needs somebody to set him up. And, Marcus Smart really isn't that guy.
Mm,
And if you look at what they lost, Brandon Clark, of course, is going to be out for a while, but they lost Dylan Brooks and they lost Tyus Jones. Like, those are big losses. And one player in Marcus Smart does not make up for both of those players. And I don't think that there's a huge difference between Marcus Smart and Dylan Brooks, just like functionally on a team. They're both exceptional defenders. They both take ill-advised shots. They play within whatever offense you're running. But the biggest issue that team has is that they only replaced one of them, and then their star is out for 25 games. And again, Brandon Clark's out forever, and we don't know about Steven Adams. What you said was Steven Adams. Like, we have no idea how he's going to hold up. Like, I would be surprised if that's a top like 4 or 5 team. I would, because they've got too much going against them early on. Now, could they be like, could they like just blow up and be really good again? Sure. Like, we never know. Like, at
mm.
at the end of the day, a team with talent who's been there before usually finds a way. But they're a huge question mark. And same thing with Phoenix. I think Phoenix, maybe they took a step back at center today, but they got deeper, and that's a good thing for them because I thought that their depth was just not good at all. We didn't even really know who was going to start at power forward for them. Now you're starting to look at them with a little bit more. Okay, I like their depth better. I like what they've done a little bit more. Um, but there's still a question mark. How do the big three there work out together? And will they be like a legitimate 2 or a 1 or a 2 or a 3? Or are they more like they're going to sag back around number 5, number 6, and then bite someone late? Yeah, I think they're just like all of the teams have question marks. Maybe the Lakers have a fewer question marks than some of the other teams. I do think that they're well built this year. They could use more
Mhm.
shooting, but they're well built. But overall, like, I like where the Kings are at position wise, and I think that continuity matters and the potential for them to move up and to be a 2 seed. It's there. It's just, you got to do it. Can't talk about it.
I think the thing with the Lakers, their if isn't playing playoffs, anything like that. Like they're a solid team. Their if is if Anthony Davis is healthy or remains healthy to a higher degree than normal, that's a 1-2 seed or the potential for a 1-2 seed.
Yeah, they're potential for a 1-2 seed, but where were they last year? And a lot of those moves they made during the season, and they had those players. Again, I like the addition of Christian Wood late. I like Vanderbilt. Like, they've got some nice pieces all of a sudden,
Yeah.
but they still, their season will live and die with their 2 stars, one of which has never stayed healthy at all. And even when he is healthy, he still misses a bunch of time, even within games. He misses time in Anthony Davis. And then the other is, LeBron James, who's pushing 40.
Mhm.
And, like, eventually Father Time has caught up with him. And you're seeing it over the last couple of years slowly start to bring him back down to earth. And then, you got your teams like Dallas. What is Dallas going to be? And what did they do to make you think that they're going to be better than they were
Oh,
last year?
nothing. Nothing.
And, the same goes for, the Pelicans. The same goes for Minnesota. there's like a bunch of teams in this range that, they really didn't do anything to make you like jump up and take notice of who they are. And the Kings are the one team that like they didn't do that either. They didn't make some drastic move, but they were already better than a lot of these other teams last season. And so you see where there's a path forward for them.
Let the record show LeBron James averaged 28.9 points per game last year at the age of 38.
Yeah, but you saw where the games where like Father Time was dragging him back down. Like he's still incredible. I'm not going to say he's not. But eventually you're going to start seeing less and less of those games where he can just take over, because we've already started to see it, where he just doesn't have the juice to fully take over a game.
28.9 points per game, James. At some point, we're going to have to acknowledge this, whether we like it or not. Father Time is not undefeated. Tom Brady defeated Father Time, and LeBron James is in the process of kicking his ass.
Yeah, no, he is, man. Like again, it's been really impressive to watch how he just continues to be such a force and so impactful. But man, if you're running him out there, he played 35 and a half minutes per game last season.
Yeah.
And he only played in 55 games. He missed 27. But if he's out there playing 35.5 minutes per game, which is either the leader or right around the leader in the league, that's bad news for the Lakers, especially come playoff time.
Meanwhile, Father Time curb stomped Russell Wilson.
He did.
I believe Father Time is currently beating the hell out of Russell Wilson.
He's doing the Hulk smash. He's just got him by the ankles and beating him like down on the ground, back and forth. Yeah.
Oh man.
Not good. Yeah, Russell Wilson, he should stop saying let's ride. He's more like let's hide, because that 200 million he's still owed. He's got to hide from somebody there.
You said something interesting there. Minutes per game leader in the NBA. I wonder who that was, because you're right. It's
not much more than that anymore.
It can't be. Oh God, I pulled up some like advanced stat. I don't want advanced. Just why do you guys? I don't need an advanced stat. I just want the regular stat. Jesse's gonna find it in 2 seconds, and it's gonna agitate the hell out of me.
There you go. Yeah, to be honest, I'm not seeing it. Even see minutes per
game leaders is it
minutes
Siakam?
Per game. Siakam 37.4, Kyrie at 37.4. They tied. LeBron was.
Oh, you know what? LeBron. I don't think LeBron's on this list. LeBron probably didn't meet the game threshold to.
He would have been tied for 17th with Julius Randle, Shai Gilgeous, and Darius Garland. Yeah.
Wow, Harden played 36.8 minutes per game.
Yeah, that's pretty stunning, isn't it?
36.8 too many. I wonder what the talks were like. Well, you know what? Let's Chetty House will have fun with this. Let's pause for a second, and we'll come back. We'll talk more about the Dame Lillard deal. I'm fascinated by like what were the discussions with Toronto. We've read so many different things about Miami through the course of the day. We'll talk more about this deal. Dame Lillard headed to the Milwaukee Bucks, what that means for the West, what that means for the East, what that means for the Bucks, the Celtics, what was the Raptors offer. We'll dive into all of this. It's Dealing with Casey, my man James Ham here with me on Sacramento Sports Leader, ESPN 1320. I'm going to run to the restroom real quick, Hammer, if that's okay.
Yep, I got you. Hello, friends. Boy, the joke's just... Grady Dick, he definitely brings out the best in the chatty house.
Those jokes have been flowing since about 10:30 a.m. during the Insiders yesterday.
Oh, yeah. It got a little wild. I think this is all interesting. I want to see like who gets to write the post-mortem on this whole situation and like fills in all the blanks. because this one just came out of nowhere. The trade did. How's the fantasy team? We're 2-1. We had a nice little week, and picked up the victory. We're doing all right. I'm not in love with our team, and I don't usually care about the tight end position, but our tight end position has been really bad. So, like we have David and Njoku, and he's been horrible. So maybe we have to upgrade that. But we have I want to say I have 6,000-yard receivers on the squad, and that's something I don't think I've ever had before. But like 4 or 5, but not like where every single player on your roster, you're like, hey, that's interesting. Plus, we drafted Alvin Kamara late, and he's back, and so that's good. Yeah, I'm thinking about dropping Njoku or maybe just trying someone else. Yeah, if the Lions tight end was available, that's a good play, Bryce. I'll also say, if you guys remember back when we started doing Fantasy Fridays right before the season with Faraz Siddiqui, he was all over the Lions tight end. And he said something like he was targeted on 90% of the routes he ran. It was something crazy. And Laporta, yeah, there we go. That's exactly what he's done so far. He looks but in my league, he was already taken. Yeah, he's good. Let's see. I have we have CD Lamb. We have Chris Olave. We have Terry McLaurin. We have Nico Collins. We have Puka. Oh, and we have Drake.
Yu.
Not
Drake Yu, and not just Drake.
Where's he, Drake?
Drake London.
Drake London?
Drake London. So I have potentially 6, maybe even 7,000 on receivers. Wild. Drake London. Yes. We drafted Drake London way too early. My son was all over him, and I should have said no because I know better than to draft wide receivers with bad quarterbacks.
From Blake. Was Puka a pickup or did you draft him?
Puka was a pickup in week 1. And we have a waiver system where you bid and you have $99 for the whole season. And I talked my son we bid high for him. We bid $27 because we have a Rams fan in our league, and he ended up bidding $21, and we beat him and got him.
Dr. David, Drake Yu, don't mention that name. Wives might be listening. Don't let the wives watch Friday. He's going to join us. We're coming back, Hammer.
All right.
As I just told Dr. David in the chatty house during the commercial break, keep the wives off the live stream coming up on Friday. My man Drake Yu is going to be with us.
He's a handsome man.
Drake Yu, 3-on-3, and he's a champion, right? Isn't that the 3-on-3 champion of the world?
Yeah, I'm excited to see him play against Jimmer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be interesting.
That'll be a lot of fun. Drake will be with us, all kidding aside, on Friday. If I was responsible, I'd remember the time. I think it's 1:45. Drake will be with us. As James Ham is here with us now, obviously on the heels of this Dame Lillard to Milwaukee Bucks trade, 3-team trade involving the Portland Trailblazers, Milwaukee Bucks, and the Phoenix Suns. James, we've been reading things all day about who was involved, who responded, who didn't respond, how strong the negotiations were, who was offered, who wasn't. And now it seems so I've started to see this in multiple places. This another one from the Toronto Sun. The Raptors had no interest in including OG Anunoby in a deal for Dame Lillard, which we're going to think is so funny. Like, what did you offer? Because we know there's no way Toronto offered Scotty Barnes. So what?
No, he was off the table completely.
What did Toronto like that had the Hall of Famer Mark Spears talking about the Toronto Raptors? What could they have possibly have offered to instigate a conversation if they were just like, well, you can't have Scotty and you can't have OG Anunoby either?
Well, I went through and I looked at their salary, and they're going to be dangerous around the deadline. Because they have Gary Trent, who's on a 1 year, $18.5 million deal. Then they have Thaddeus Young, who's around 8-9 million. They have Otto Porter, who's around 6 million. They have Chris Boucher, who's owed 11 million next year as well. But like again, in a salary dump situation, you would probably take on his salary just because it's only 10 million bucks next year. But that's where how I would have built a deal with them, because first of all, I agree with you that if you're trying to get Dame, you had to take Nurkic. So they could have, with those players that I just mentioned, and throw in Grady Dick and throw in like 2 or 3 first round picks, you could have been able to pull off a deal for both Nurkic and Dame. So yeah, I think it really came down to like just the pieces, and they still have to figure out what they're doing with Siakam and with OG Anunoby, whether they can keep those guys, because both of them are in the final year of their deals.
I think Masai's just going to keep him and let the contracts run out. It's a brand new, innovative way of general managing. Oh, I'm not trading you. If you don't want to sign here, you're not going to sign here. I'm just going to let the deal expire and you can go.
He looks really brilliant until he doesn't. And then he'll go somewhere else and look really brilliant for 5 minutes too. And then you see if he can build it up.
Well, he hasn't looked not brilliant recently, has he?
Well, he did win a championship.
I mean, the Kawhi, it's the ultimate gamble. I think every Raptors fan would argue you lost DeMar DeRozan, you won a title, you lost Kawhi Leonard the next year. It's not like the team hit the gutter. They had they had a really good coach. It's just it hasn't materialized much since then.
Yeah,
but you won the title.
They kind of hit the panic button though. Like Nick Nurse is a
Nick
good
Nurse,
coach.
I thought so too. Well, I'll say this about that. There was clearly something. But because I thought, and I said this all last year, and admittedly, part of it was watching Toronto just seemingly beat the hell out of Sacramento. I thought that team was a lot better than what their record was. And I found the Blazers to be one of the more confusing teams in the league. And it did feel like at a certain point, there's a disconnect somewhere. There's either a disconnect in that locker room with those players, or there's a disconnect with Nick Nurse. And clearly, Masai Ujiri decided it was a disconnect with Nick Nurse.
Yeah, it's interesting because he's very close with the players. Like Masai is. Yeah. And so he has a really good idea of what's going on behind the scenes. But that doesn't mean that you throw away a really, really good coach that could have been like a dynasty coach with you. I thought he did an excellent job. And I thought even in the years that following the championship, like I thought they were good. But then there was also that moment where they had like every single power forward guy in the league on the roster. Like how many guys do you need that are like 6'9" to 6'11" and basically all play the same position? They just kept bringing more and more and more on. And it got to a point where you're like somebody has to play small forward. You need more guard depth. They had like sort of a weird guard depth issue. So I didn't like the build of the team, and that's on the GM. That's, it's a GM that signed Chris Boucher to like a 3-year, $30-something million deal and brought in Precious Achua and, just kept stacking these players that play the same exact position. Like if you're a coach, what do you do if you got Scotty Barnes OG Anunoby and Pascal Siakam, and then they go out and get Jakob Poeltl. Like, what do you do? Who's playing the 2? And I guess OG is playing the 2, but if not, one of those guys who are one of your best 4 players is coming off the bench.
I don't know why I love this message from 92 Views so much. I've been staring at it for the last few minutes. He says, OG is the face of Canada. He was in every commercial when I was there a few weeks ago. I love
You know
that.
what, though? It's an interesting thing, though, because we don't think about that here in Sacramento. There's only, like, the pizza guys, right? And even that, they don't do that anymore that I've seen, like
Well, it's because they kept losing the pizza guy, and then they
and
gave
then
the
they
pizza
made
guy
Doug and Dougie the pizza guy.
Well, and let's not even talk about how fraudulent that was, because there's no chance Doug ate a piece of pizza, not even for the commercial. He was like, hey, give me a cucumber and turn it into a piece of pizza with CGI. And
Well, yeah.
then he became a coach, and he couldn't be the pizza guy anymore.
No,
Like,
that's true.
You could argue the pizza guy's cursed.
Yeah, and Doug doesn't eat, he doesn't eat pork and he doesn't eat beef. So,
Doug
and there
doesn't
were
eat anything. He eats
No.
blueberries, he drinks chai tea, and
You know what he drinks? He drinks,
seaweed.
a triple soy latte with, no foam. That's what he drinks.
And apple cider vinegar.
Oh, no, the apple cider vinegar he drinks that a lot.
Yeah, he'll chug apple cider vinegar like I chug these green juices.
Yeah,
No, I
that
saw
and
that. That's why I think that's why they brought Dougie into the commercial, so Dougie could, wolf
Eat
down
the
a piece of pizza, and Doug could, Big Doug could watch approvingly.
There we go. That's my boy. I've told you the incredible Dougie story, right? Like,
I don't think so.
once me and Doug both brought our sons to the studio one time,
Mhm.
and they hit it off. Like, they're both super quiet. They're both introverts. They hit it off, like, right away. And so they're just running around the studio. We're not really paying attention. We're watching the game. We're going in, doing pregame and postgame and halftime. And I get home and my wife's like, okay, I got like a weird prank call. And I'm like, what do you mean you got a weird prank call? She goes, somebody called and I swear I could hear Toby in the background laughing, my oldest. And somebody called and sang Hello by Adele in its entirety on my voicemail. It was Dougie. Dougie called my wife, prank called my wife while my son was there and sang hello all the way through to the end while my son sat with him. They were hiding under the stairs in the studio, prank calling people like my wife.
That can we just acknowledge, like, singing a song the whole way through as a prank is
This
tremendous dedication.
all in.
Which is,
Yeah.
I'd absolutely expect that from someone with the namesake of Doug Christie, but that is just phenomenal dedication to the joke.
It was, yeah. So they got along really well, but they really haven't got to hang out since. So yeah, and they were both young, like probably I don't know, 14 and 12 or
That
something.
checks out. I can't imagine an 18-year-old, going, "Hey,
Oh,
I got
no.
an idea. Let's prank my
No.
mom and sing Adele." I don't think I know any Adele songs in their entirety. So shout out to Dougie for just nailing that part too.
Yeah, yeah.
Did Mrs. Ham, attorney at law, save the voicemail?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Okay.
I'll have to look.
That's your homework. Tune into the Insiders tomorrow to find out if Mrs. Ham, attorney at law, did in fact save the Adele voicemail.
Yep.
Not related to the trade, but interesting news. You just said Toronto could be major players at the trade deadline. Another team I think people were watching, given what happened to the course over the next few weeks, was the Los Angeles Clippers. Lawrence Frank said the team has had consistent ongoing conversations with both Paul George and Kawhi Leonard's reps regarding extensions, and says he's hopeful that both will remain Los Angeles Clippers. Now, what that looks like, who knows? But we know that they're both extension eligible. If one isn't yet, he will be within the next week or two. But that was, I think, another situation that people were watching pretty closely headed into training camp.
Here's an interesting little tidbit, which I did not know. Paul George makes $45,640,084. Kawhi Leonard makes $45,640,084. They have the same exact contracts this year and the same exact player options at $48,787,676. $787,676. So yeah, they're both, even if they don't get extensions, neither one of those dudes is walking away from $49 million next year. There's no way. There's no way. So I know that it's a topic for sure, and they would like an extension, but those guys already make so much money next season that I don't even know how the Clippers improve their roster. How do you improve your roster when two guys are making 100 of the $144 million salary cap?
Yeah, I don't know, James. If I knew that, I'd run an NBA franchise.
There it is.
Lawrence Frank did say Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are both fully healthy and had extremely productive off seasons. Said they'll be full participants in training camp. Okay.
Yep.
That's good stuff. I mean, it's always the most exciting time of the year, right? Because no one's lost, and for the most part, no one's hurt.
Hope springs eternal.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And Kings fans are all too familiar with that. It's normally the only time of year where we're actually excited. But that's not the case this year. I think it's let's get to Utah fully healthy, run this thing back, and win some playoff games this time. Win some playoff series, I should say, this time.
And everyone I run into is like, man, why can't we start playing now? Let's play. I want to see games now. That's what I keep running into on the streets. Anyone that I asks about Kings basketball, they're like, man, is it starting yet? When? Come on, let's go. It's the anticipation for this season is greater than any season that I can remember in the past.
Yeah, as it should be. This team is good, and there's no reason to believe they won't be good moving forward. And we just talked about how I just get so tired of the storyline that the West is loaded. Maybe it's just me. I don't see it. The thing that I'm really stuck on right now, you brought up Dallas earlier. Truth be told, I haven't thought a second about the Dallas Mavericks. Dallas Mavericks finished 38-44. That was a solid 4 games out of the playoff spot. Dallas, Utah, Portland, Houston, San Antonio. Those are probably the same 5 teams that don't make the playoffs this year. Not counting, or I should say, get to the top 10, get to the play-in.
I like Utah
to be in top 10.
Yeah, I think they're top 10.
So who are you taking out then?
I don't know. Again, I don't know that Dallas makes it, but there are the French guys, the New Orleans.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Pelicans, the Timberwolves. I know everyone thinks that Anthony Edwards is going to ascend to greatness this year, and that's fine. He could be, he could average 33 points a game like Damian Lillard did last year and still not make the playoffs because they have 2 centers and don't know what they're doing. So, that's a problem. That's a team that I just don't know that goes anywhere. Maybe they do. Maybe they figure it out. Maybe they're good, but
I don't like that team at all.
No,
I do not like that team.
I think that might be the problem that we have with the Western Conference, that there are so many teams that the pieces are greater than the whole, where the Kings, the whole is greater than the pieces or equal to. You know what I mean? You can see the offense flows, the team works, it's functional. There's things like fit that have been considered, where a lot of these other teams don't have that. They're not, the fit was never part of the equation. Anyone who didn't, it didn't take anything to look and say Karl Anthony Towns and and Rudy Gobert just aren't going to fit. And someone, oh, they'll fit. Like, no, not really. Like, neither one of them can defend the perimeter. So what are you going to do against every team that will go small and just like runs around the perimeter on you? Nothing. You're going to watch the ball go in the basket. So yeah, I think fit is such a, even with the Lakers, they're still concerned that they don't have enough shooting, that they don't have, their fit
Well,
is weird.
well, Hammer, you know who's on the trade market? It can finally happen. Shavano to the Lakers.
Oh, there it is.
It could finally happen, and the Lakers can win a championship just like they would have if they hadn't traded for Russell Westbrook and had acquired Buddy Hield from Sacramento, and Kyle Kuzma would have. Man, what would the domino effect have been if the original deal that was at draft day had gone through? I can't remember what day it was.
Day before the draft.
What would the domino effect have been if Buddy Hield wound up in Los Angeles, Kyle Kuzma, and was it
Montrezl? Yeah, Montrezl Harrell
had come to Sacramento. It's fascinating to think about.
It's a big enough what if that we might have to rename the butterfly effect the Buddy Hield effect. Like it's like a ripple in a pond. Like you have no idea like how far that ripple would go. Where some deals you can look at and you're like, okay, like the Kings could have easily still signed Bogdanovich and then just had Buddy Hield and then figured things out later, right? There would not have been a ripple in the pond because they went into that season with a horrific roster. But this one, very specifically, we have no idea. Like what would have happened down the road, and could you have still pulled off a deal to get someone like Sabonis? Would you even considered a deal like that, or would you have just gone with like 2 pick and roll guys and Rashawn Holmes and Montrezl Harrell and like I don't know, Kyle Kuzma? Would Kuzma stick around? Would he wear that giant pink sweater, like to the down the stairs at the Kings area?
The drip walk. Yeah, the little drip walk.
Yeah, would he wear that giant, the black hoodie thing?
The big puffy Missy Elliott outfit. Yeah. Kuz could do that at the Golden One Center. He'd be at Tyga with the puffy jacket on. Okay. I was going to get you one for Christmas. It's just far too expensive. Far too expensive.
Yeah, we do have like a $20 maximum on those things. So
yeah, it was.
I don't think that fits in.
I think I have a better shot of getting you the pink sweater.
The pink sweater, Kevin Herter has one, like a bubblegum pink sweater, but it's not with. It doesn't have like 12-foot long arms.
The extra long sleeves.
Yeah, it doesn't have like some poor grandma had to knit those sleeves. So that's not what Kevin Herter has. But I like had a conversation with him, like, hey, bro, like we can't wear that color. That doesn't look good on us. Like, I know you're trying to be out there. Like, wear yellow. Don't wear orange. Don't wear red.
Can't wear red. Yeah.
Don't wear bright pink. Don't wear bubblegum pink.
See, people get on me about this is how you know, like James Ham may not flaunt his fashion sense, but the man's been on TV and he's recognized there are things that he can wear and can't wear. I tell people all the time, like, wearing black, particularly black shoes, is not the best look for me. It's too strong. And it's me wearing black is the equivalent of James wearing pink. It doesn't work with the complexions. I need something a little softer, or in this case, I need like what I'm wearing right now. I need a little gray to soften it up. I need light shoes to kind of pull your eyes back a little bit.
Yeah. It's about the whole outfit. You've got to bring the whole outfit. I don't know. I do the best that I can with what I'm working with. So, I used to tell Doug all the time, I can't wear that suit, but I love it.
Oh, Doug's suit game it's fine.
Yeah.
That's probably the worst part about him being on the bench is they wear, warm-up clothes on the bench and his suits are just collecting dust.
Yeah, he's got some great suits. Yeah, great color schemes and all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
He's got some one-offs. He's got like a suit like you can't wear that again. Like where are you gonna wear that, Doug? Like you get that one TV show, and then you gotta tuck it away for a while because everybody's gonna remember it.
I feel like you have a whole closet of that, where I have more like utilitarian clothes. Like I have a bunch of blue shirts and blue ties, and I have a maroon suit, burgundy suit, and then a bunch of blue suits, a gray suit. But I'm able to mix and match and kind of change my stuff. You wear stuff that's like, wow, and then I don't know how you wear it again.
It's tough. Like the most obvious one is the jacket with the crystals on it. Like that's a tough second wear. Like I can wear it to a game. I can rock it on the show every once in a while. And like I wore it to a concert. But other than that, it's kind of got to stay. It's got to stay. It's got to be selective.
I'll be honest, I went to get up off the chair. Of course, I sit in the same seat you sit in, and I'm like, oh, there's a little gold thing here. And I pick it up. I'm like, oh, that's a piece of one of Damien's outfits. I'm not sure which. And I set it up on the counter. That happened yesterday. It's right there by the mouse pad. There's a little gold thing. I'm like, all right. I know it didn't come off my clothes.
There it is.
There
it is.
See?
I don't know what this is, but I'll investigate.
It didn't come off my clothes. My clothes don't come with things like that.
We appreciate you so much for being with us, man. What a day it was. Dame Lillard headed to the Milwaukee Bucks, 3-team deal with the Portland Trail Blazers and the Phoenix